Dawn broke over Cape San Blas, Florida, on January 14, 2011. The golden light revealed a scene of disaster. Over 200 dolphins lay scattered across the shoreline, their sleek bodies half buried in sand, gasping for life. Maria Sanchez stepped onto the beach for her morning walk and froze. The sound hit her first distress calls echoing across the water. Then the sight. Dolphins, as far as she could see, stranded in the retreating tide. "Help! Someone help!" she screamed, already running toward the nearest animal, her phone pressed to her ear as she dialed emergency services. By 7:30 a.m., word had spread. Local fishermen abandoned their boats. Families left breakfast tables half empty. Tourists in pajamas rushed from beachfront hotels. Within an hour, over 100 strangers stood on that beach, forming an unlikely army against time and tide. Dr. James Wright, marine biologist from the Gulf Coast Marine Center, took command. "These animals have maybe 4 hours before their organs collapse under their own weight. We need to get them back to deep water." The crowd looked at the enormous task before them. How could regular people save 200, 400-pound creatures? "Form teams of 6, Dr. Wright instructed. 3 people support the dolphin's weight. 2 keep the blowhole above water. 1 navigates to deeper channels." 17-year-old Derek Martinez hadn't planned to be a hero that day. He'd come to the beach to surf, not to save lives. But when he locked eyes with a young female dolphin, something shifted inside him. Her eye was so intelligent, he later told reporters. She knew she was dying, and she knew we were trying to help. Derek joined a team with strangers, an elderly fisherman, 2 college students, a pregnant woman, and a 10-year-old boy whose determination outweighed his size. Together, they approached their first dolphin. The animal thrashed as they touched it, its sleek skin surprisingly rough under their hands. Blood leaked from wounds where it had scraped against shells and rocks. "Easy now," the old fisherman whispered. "Easy, friend." As if understanding, the dolphin calmed. They slid beach towels beneath its body, creating a makeshift sling. 6 sets of hands gripped the edges, lifting as one. The weight was staggering. Derek's muscles screamed in protest as they waded into the shallows. Salt water stung cuts on his feet from broken shells. The January water chilled his body to the bone. But the dolphin's eye remained fixed on him, trusting. At waist-deep water, they paused. The dolphin tried to swim but listed sideways, disoriented, exhausted. "She needs more help," the pregnant woman said, refusing to let go of the towel despite her condition. They pressed on, fighting the current, moving toward a deeper channel Dr. Wright had identified. At chest depth, the dolphin suddenly straightened. Its tail began to move with purpose. "Let go," the fisherman instructed. "Let her try." Reluctantly, they released the towel. The dolphin dipped, struggled, then found its balance. With a powerful thrust of its tail, it moved forward, turned to face them for a heartbeat, then disappeared into deeper water. 1 down, over 200 to go. Across the beach, similar scenes unfolded. A banker in an expensive suit stood shoulder-deep in water beside a tattoo artist, both supporting a massive male dolphin. A group of feuding neighbors forgot their property dispute as they worked together to save a mother and calf. Tourists who couldn't speak the same language developed a wordless communication system, pointing and nodding as they formed rescue teams. The sky darkened suddenly as clouds gathered. Weather reports had predicted clear skies, but nature had other plans. A light rain began to fall, cooling overheated rescuers, but making the sand slick and treacherous. Lightning flashed in the distance. "We have maybe an hour before the storm hits full force," Dr. Wright announced. "We need to work faster." The urgency amplified. What had been an organized rescue became a race against both time and elements. The dolphins sensed the change in pressure, growing more agitated. Their calls intensified, a haunting chorus that seemed to penetrate rescuers' hearts. By noon, the sun fought through the cloud cover, the threatened storm moving offshore. Exhaustion set in. Sunburn reddened exposed skin. Muscles cramped from the endless lifting. Yet no one left. When local restaurants heard about the rescue, they arrived with food and water. A cruise ship anchored offshore sent teams of staff with medical supplies. Someone brought speakers. and music drifted across the water, the rhythmic beats somehow easing the chaos. Marine biologists later noted that the music seemed to calm the dolphins as well. Studies had shown cetaceans respond to certain frequencies, and by happy accident, the playlist included songs within that range. Volunteers noticed the dolphins' breathing becoming more regular when particular melodies played. At 2 p.m., disaster struck. A pod of 20 dolphins that had been successfully returned to sea re-beached themselves half a mile down the shore. Dr. Wright's face fell. "It's mass confusion," he explained. "They follow each other. If one is disoriented and heads back to shore, they all follow." The already exhausted rescuers faced a devastating choice: abandon their current efforts or split their forces. Derek had just helped his 8th dolphin when he saw the re-beaching. Without a word, he began running down the shoreline, his feet kicking up sand. Others followed, creating a line of determined rescuers racing toward the new crisis. Local news crews had arrived by then, capturing footage that would later go viral, the spontaneous sprint of mud-covered, sunburned strangers united by purpose. The images would inspire conservation efforts worldwide. As the afternoon progressed, a pattern emerged. Teams would save a dolphin, return to shore for a new one, and occasionally sprint to address re-beachings. The tide began to rise, both helping and hindering their efforts, creating deeper water but making it harder to identify distressed animals. By 4 p.m., something remarkable happened. The successfully rescued dolphins formed a semicircle offshore, as if creating a barrier to prevent others from swimming back to the beach. When rescuers released new animals, the waiting pod seemed to guide them toward deeper channels. Scientists later debated whether this was intentional or coincidental, but to everyone on that beach, it felt like cooperation. As sunset approached, Dr. Wright counted the remaining dolphins. Just 12, all in the process of being rescued. Cheers erupted as volunteers realized they were winning the battle. The final dolphin was the largest, a scarred bull they'd been avoiding due to its size and aggression. It took 15 people to lift him, and even then, they struggled to maintain control as he thrashed and clicked in distress. Derek found himself at the head, supporting the massive creature's skull. "It's okay," he murmured, though he doubted the animal understood. "We're almost done." In deeper water, the bull calmed, seeming to understand their intent. When they released him, he didn't immediately swim away. Instead, he circled the exhausted rescuers, brushing against their legs in what felt strangely like gratitude. Then, with a powerful thrust, he joined his waiting pod. As darkness fell, the beach stood empty of dolphins, but full of changed humans. Strangers exchanged phone numbers. A local wedding offered its reception food to the volunteers. Children who had been too small to lift dolphins had kept rescuers hydrated all day now received impromptu swimming lessons from marine biologists. Dr. Wright addressed the crowd as flashlights and cell phones illuminated the gathering. "Of the 207 stranded dolphins, we lost only 23. That's an unprecedented success rate of nearly 90%. The cheer that followed echoed across the water. One volunteer, a former military medic, stood silently at the edge of the crowd. "I've seen what humans can do to destroy," she later wrote in a memoir. "Today I saw what we can do when we choose to save instead." For weeks afterward, unusual dolphin behavior was reported along Cape San Blas. Pods swam closer to shore than typical, often following fishing boats and jumping in spectacular displays near areas where rescuers had worked. Derek returned to the beach daily, sitting on the sand where he'd first locked eyes with that female dolphin. On the 7th day, a dolphin with distinctive scarring, the same one he'd helped, appeared offshore, leaping repeatedly as if in recognition. Marine biologists confirmed through fin identification that many of the rescued dolphins remained in local waters rather than migrating as expected. They seemed to be thriving, forming new social bonds and demonstrating remarkably coordinated hunting behavior. The scientific papers that followed pointed to extraordinary neuroplasticity and social adaptation, but the locals of Cape San Blas understood something simpler: gratitude transcends species. 1 year later, on January 14th, 2012, hundreds gathered on that same beach for a remembrance ceremony. As if choreographed, a massive pod of dolphins appeared offshore during the moment of silence, their synchronized leaps breaking the still morning air. No one could prove they were the same animals. No one needed to. Some bonds need no explanation. The event changed local fishing practices forever. Area boats began using dolphin-safe techniques voluntarily, years before regulations required them. Tourism shifted from exploitation to conservation. Children who had participated in the rescue grew up to become marine biologists, veterinarians, and environmental activists. As for Derek, he abandoned his plans for business school. Today, he runs the Cape San Blas Marine Rescue Center, a facility that has saved thousands of stranded animals. On his desk sits a small sculpture, a dolphin and human hand reaching toward each other, fingers and fin almost touching. Some say that on quiet mornings, if you stand on that stretch of beach where history was made, you'll hear dolphins calling, and somehow, it sounds like a thank you. If you enjoyed, then watch our next video shown on screen.